What's up, Wargamers? Welcome back to World of Wargaming, and more importantly and pressing at the moment, welcome back to the pile of opportunity. Today we're digging into some boxes that I've only recently acquired, but am very, very excited to dig into. We're going to be looking at not one, not two, but three different sets, kits, models for Moonstone from, I want to say it's Stoneforge Games is the company that makes this, but it's not printed on the box anywhere, so whatever. Anyways, these are all three for the Leshavult faction. I've played a few games of Moonstone, but I've played them with my buddy Bill's models. These recently came in because I wanted to play Leshavult. And you're supposed to have, I guess, more than 6 models because you're supposed to kind of like randomly draft your team for each game. So this gives me enough models in that faction to do so. So let's tear into these things and take a look. We're going to start with Boris the Bunny Summoner. Now, I'm excited for this model for 2 reasons. 1, because it's a cool model. And 2, because of because of the little murder bunnies. I'm excited for those because I've been looking for something along those lines to use for one of the missions for Verrettwood Classic. And I just didn't really have anything, and I haven't printed anything. And then I found these, and it has them already in there. So let's take a look at them. So we've got 3 Murder Bunny cards. They have no signature moves, so nothing on the back. And then we have Boris. Now, highly advisable because of the way damage works in this game to put these in a clear sleeve so you can see front and back. And then use a wet erase marker to mark off your health bubbles. And then in a 2-piece resin sculpt, we have Boris himself. Now, off gate, I love that his horns are asymmetrical. It just gives so much quirky, fun, Radagast of the Brown kind of vibes. You know, it gives crazy, eccentric hermit vibes, and I am 100% here for that because I myself at times am a modestly insane hermit. I like that it's just 2 pieces and not, you know, the arm separate, the weapon separate, the horn separate. Sometimes the way they cast models does not make sense to me, but Moonstone does a good job of delivering just crisp resin models that have just metric tons of character. And of course, what would any bunny summoner be without his murder bunnies? These are fun. They do have some mold lines on the back, but nothing too crazy. I had to look pretty hard to see those, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't like building models, so I'm not the best at always finding the mold lines when I'm putting them together. And once I've put paint on them, I just can't bring myself to do the same work twice and clean them up or strip them down and clean it off. So if mold lines make it to the paint table, they usually are just gonna stick around. I like these. This will probably be the one that I use in that OG Verrettwood mission. Next up, we have the Malachite Mystics. If you're not familiar with Malachite, it's a bright green gemstone that, if I'm not mistaken, is highly toxic. So if you're polishing them or anything like that, I think you got to be extra careful. But these are fun. I really, really, really love this dryad kind of model, I think, with all the flowers for hair. She's going to be really, really, really cool. And Klaus over here just looks like an absolute grunt master. Now this, I'm not sure if that's how the model is. They have slotted bases, so that should be attached to the male end of the slot. But in general, I'm not a fan of models that have a singular point of contact to glue them down, because I slap chop pretty much everything these days, and that can cause problems if you dry brush too aggressively or hold the model incorrectly. But again, these do have slotted bases and tabs, so I don't think that's much of a problem here. We have our cards for Gwendolyn, the Leshavult Priestess, who's a fairy. Reagan, the Leshavult Priestess, who is a cultist, fawn. And Klaus, who was a fawn cultist. And then again, signature moves on the back. So we'll start off with Gwendolyn, who is my favorite model in this particular box. And I was looking at it wrong. The flowers and stuff here are her hair, but she is not part of the tree. She is not a dryad. The tree is there to provide her with the illusion of flight. But yeah, she's a beaut. And we got one of the other arms. And then I think this is a loincloth bit. Yes, that will hang down in front here. Yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely model. They do good work. We then have the main piece of Reagan, the Fawn Priestess. I love the general spiral motion that the model has. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful movement to the piece. And then, of course, her lower half, which are the crossed fawn legs. The crystal, which will go on the base, be in front of her. And her other arm with some mystical looking... Wait a minute now. Are we... Ruh-roh, Raggy. I think we might be missing an arm. Oh, no, never mind. That's both arms together. I see. I couldn't quite figure out what I was looking at right there. But that is both arms together. And lastly, in the Malachite Mystics, we have Klaus, the Fawn Cultist. I like that he's kind of portly. And here we have his head and flail. A little bit of flashing to clean up on the horns. And in the picture on the box, I thought this was just like a cane or something. But no, it's a flail that has a bell for the head. So he will... quite literally ring your bell. Well, ring his bell, I suppose. But on your noggin is where he's going to ring it. And then lastly, we have the Wild Things, which has a chunky little fawn named Chubbs, who tremendously reminds me of Danny DeVito's character in the animated Hercules movie from Disney. We have Gloom, who reminds me a lot of a, oh Lord, I don't remember what they're called, but the goat men from Diablo. Very much what he reminds me of. And then a Wendigo, which I'm very excited about. I love this type of model, like this design. It's not really, I don't think, necessarily mythologically accurate, but it's kind of the image that popular culture has taken up. And I just think it's super freaking cool. First, we have the Wendigo. Nice power stanced legs. Big, gnarly, hunched over top torso. And then just an absolutely amazing head. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Next, we have Gloom, who may have taken Chubbs' place as my favorite model in the box for the sole reason that he's one piece. I don't have to build anything. I just have to cut off the gates and glue him to a base, and then I can get him primed and painted and scrubbed. You should always scrub your resin models with soap and warm water before you prime them. You probably already know that, but it never hurts to say it and hopefully save somebody from a frustrating situation. And then we have Chubbs. That little dimple you see right there is not a mistake. His arm kind of slots into his cheek right there. Look at this chunky little dude, man. That's definitely Danny DeVito. Like, 100% that's Danny DeVito. And then his arms are what broke off of there. Now, this is something about cutting up models that I genuinely appreciate as someone who's not an avid model builder, more of a painter and player. When a weapon requires two hands to be held by the model, I like it when it comes like this, as just one solid piece, because no matter what I do or what I try, if I have one arm that is the arm and the weapon and one arm that is just an arm, or even worse, two arms and then a weapon that has to go in their hands, I cannot ever get it to line up correctly, and it is wildly frustrating. And again, I don't really want to be building them in the first place, so I usually just let it go, and maybe I'll go back and fill the gap. But I don't like when I have to do any of those things. I like it when it comes like this, and I can just glue it in, and then it fits right, and everything's good to go. And that, my friends, is going to do it for today's Spelunk hike and ascent up the pile of opportunity with a little bit of Moonstone. Thanks so much for tuning in, hanging out while I looked at some new toys. I hope you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day.